We also need to put in those little hatch marks, or these little waffles on the side. And in order to do that, I'm going to do Shift D. And let's go ahead and I'm going to drop this down a little bit. We'll go to Insert. Or we'll go to Slide. Edge Loop Complete. We'll slide this down to about where they stop, which is about here. And then go ahead and put waffles on the side. Now, one thing I tried to do was go to like Insert Multiple Edge Loops and, you know, just kind of eyeball how many of these things would be in here and then inset all of these and push them in. But getting those to render or to smooth correctly on a cylindrical surface is a pain. And I'll just run you through an example of why cylindrical surfaces can sometimes be a pain, and letting ZRemesher do the heavy lifting for you, or live Boolean. So if we go in here to cylinder, make polymesh 3D, we'll go ahead and scale that out. And let's go ahead and do like a crease dynamic. And let's go ahead and duplicate this off. And let's go ahead and rotate this around and hold down Shift. Here we go. And scale this down. And then we'll hit W. Now, for this one, let's hit W. Let's turn on sticky. And then I'm going to Control drag out a copy. And I'm going to hit 1, which is going to be under Stroke Replay Last. And we don't need to redo that many. And we'll unmask this one. We'll duplicate this one off. And we'll rotate this one here, holding down Shift to constrain it. And we'll push this forward. And of course, you can make as many copies as you want. But what I'm more concerned about is getting this piece right here to smooth correctly by rebuilding it using ZRemesher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do what we did before, which is group by normals under the polygroup menu to get polygroups here. And then I'm going to get new polygroups when I have this one here and this one here punched through. So what I'm going to do is this is going to be our start group. You don't have to make it a start group if you just have one, but we'll go ahead and say that the start group. These are both subtractive. We'll turn on our live Boolean, and now we've got our live Boolean result. So in order to see this, or to make it real, I should say, let's go ahead and go down to our Boolean, d_subdiv on, make Boolean mesh. And now with our umesh result, we can take this, and this is our result. So here, I want to make this so it's just like a thickness. So I'm going to Control-Shift-click this outside polygroup here. We're going to go ahead and delete hidden. And now we can go into Tool, Geometry, ZRemesher here. And now you can just say target polygon count of 5 is okay. Let's just do half because we're at 12 now. We'll drop down to 6. Although with adaptive size up, it's not going to leave us at 6. It's probably going to be pretty close to that. So we'll drop that down just a bit, and now I'll ZRemesh this. And now what this is going to allow us to do, because if I was to go through here and take a cylinder and then make these faces big enough to where I could punch in a hole and then go through and, you know, try and build in edge loops and stuff, in order to maintain the cylindrical shape, it would be I would have a hard time. But now that we have this result, if we go through here and now we just do a QMesh Polygroup All, and we just QMesh this out of thickness, and then we could do like maybe a crease polygroup here and hit D. Now you're going to see this thing smooths beautifully. It builds in the cylinders, because this is what you would have to build in order to get a cylindrical object with holes poked in it to, you know, build correctly. So same idea here. In order to punch in these waffles here, what I'm probably going to have to do is, number one, it looks like this one comes out just a little bit. I'm going to hold down Control-Shift, select lasso. I'm going to grab all of these edge rings, because with select lasso, you can grab these edge rings here. And now I can invert that, hit Control-W. So these are all one polygroup here. And it also looks like this thing comes out just a bit. So what I'm going to do is go to Insert, Single Edge Loop. And we're just going to move this out just a tiny bit. QMesh Polygroup All, and we'll just kind of snap that out just a bit. And you know what? Let's go to Align Full Step, and we'll just snap that out, because I want to get some thickness. Okay, I guess that'll work. And now when I hit D, that's what I'm looking for, and it also looks like it creases on the bottom here. I'm getting a little bit more specific than I did in the other stream, but that's okay. We'll go to Slide, Edge Loop Complete. We'll slide this up just a little bit, and we'll put a little bit of a crease in this one here. And we'll also put in a little bit of a control loop down here at the bottom, and maybe on the bottom here. That'll work. Okay, so now what we need to do is punch in these holes here. So what we're going to do is, again, let's just verify that these are all one polygroup here. So I'm going to hover over this one, Polygroup, Polyloop, tap, and then Alt to go ahead and pull in a brand new polyloop here. And now we can go to Inset, Polygroup All, and we don't want to do Region. So if we do region, it's not going to do them for each one. And now we're just going to punch in these for each one. Now, before I do that, I just want to use these as my inset cube meshes, because you're going to see you can do like an array mesh or something, but since it's on a tilted axis, it kind of tilts in. It's kind of kind of be a pain to match maybe. So I'm just going to take the easy way out. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to duplicate this off, go into solo mode. And now when we inset this, let's do Shift D. We can take these squares here, and now we can do Control Shift with our select rectangle here. And now we can go ahead and delete hidden. And now we've got these QMesh Polygroup All. We've got these little blocks. So now, go out of solo mode. We have our original cone here, and then the little waffle pattern we're going to imprint. Now we know if I go ahead and make this subtractive, since we just pulled this straight out, and we go make this subtractive here, and we go into live Boolean, we're not going to see it because it's not actually punching into our object yet. So let's go into solo mode here. I'm going to tap this polygroup, QMesh Polygroup All, and hold down Shift and just pull it in just a little bit so we can kind of come in. And now you can see it's going to start punching through our mesh. Does it punch through our mesh enough? Yeah, sure. So we're going to go ahead and say this is okay, but we kind of want to round these edges out a little bit. We could go in here to our dynamic subdiv, and we could turn on dynamic, and then we could go ahead and like crease all of these things, and then turn our smooth subdiv up and down. What you could also do, if you do uncrease all, you can also do Q grid. So we'll take our smooth down to 0, change our Q grid up. So if we go into solo mode on this one, you're going to see with Q grid at 1, we can change the coverage, and that's going to build an edge in right along those bevels here. And I think that'll work just fine. And you can also add a smooth along with your Q grid as well, which in this case isn't going to help us that much. So let's do Q grid to coverage. We'll kind of bring that down, and I think that'll be fine. All right, so we've got our waffles imprinted here. Let's go ahead and go into solo mode here. And let's also bring these edges in. So I'm going to QMesh Polygroup All. I'm going to hold down Shift, and we're just going to push it right in along that surface norm. We'll make those a little tiny bit smaller here, just increasing the distance between those. All right, so we've got that result. So what I'm going to do is let's go to our subtool menu. So if I want to make this real, so I can go ahead and smooth it out as a Dynamesh. Anything else I need to do? Looks like there's like a slight edge here. Let's do that really quickly. Let's go out of our Boolean render here. We'll do Shift D. One more slight change. We're going to go to Insert Single Edge Loop, and now we're going to go to Polygroup Polyloop, and now you don't even have to do this. You could do QMesh Polyloop if you wanted to, but I usually want to have a polygroup here, so QMesh Polygroup All, and let's pull this out. Actually, just to play it safe, whenever you go through here, see that Polygroup Polyloop made this the same polygroup here, just tap Alt, and that'll cycle through just different colors here. And now we can do QMesh Polygroup All. I'll pull that out here, and let's go ahead and get rid of this. It's control loop here, so insert single edge loop, and we'll leave that creased, just building that slight ridge there. There we go. Okay, so I got this, we got this. If I want to go ahead and make a U-mesh and have this represented, we'll go ahead and make this a new start group. We'll make this a new start group, and now when we go turn on our Boolean render, that's the result we're going to get. I think we're in good shape, so let's go ahead and do, let's make sure these things are subdivided enough. Yeah, it's fine. And we'll go ahead and do dynamic subdivision, make Boolean mesh. That's going to make us a new U-mesh here. PM3D, U-mesh. There we go. With two subtools because we had two start groups. We got this one here and we got this one here.